FBI, they have now raided multiple elected officials, period. The New York Police Commissioner resigns, put up the picture full mass, amid more federal raids, subpoenas, and investigations. New York City Police Commissioner Edward Caban is stepping down. Why? The word of the resignation came in a letter from his attorney to City Hall. The resignation is effective Friday. His resignation comes amid a federal investigation into possible corruption in New York City government that last week saw authorities seize cell phones belonging to the commissioner and other NYPD officials. That's according to a source familiar with the investigation. So the commissioner's attorney, Russell Capone, and Rebecca Donaleski said in a statement that they have been informed that the commissioner is, quote, not a target of any investigation being conducted by the Southern District of New York, and that he, quote, expects to cooperate fully with the government, end quote. The commissioner also said he will continue to fully cooperate with the ongoing investigation. Now, I want you to understand the wording here. They specifically said he is not the target, which means that he's probably not the top person, but you have these auxiliary targets who probably will receive some level of investigation or even possible an indictment themselves. They've been involved in some criminal activity. Doesn't mean they were the target of the initial investigation. Secondly, they specifically made sure they said not a target of the investigation from this particular division, okay? So he could be the target of another investigation, and there's a concurrent investigation. They call that a task force, and he is now caught up in this task force. With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show. All right, quote, my complete focus must be on the NYPD. The department I profoundly honor and have dedicated my career to serving, the commissioner said in a statement. However, the noise around recent developments has made that impossible and has hindered the important work of our city requires. I have therefore decided it is in the best interest of the department that I resign as commissioner. In an email to the NYPD obtained by ABC News, the commissioner did not address the probe directly, only saying he made the, quote, difficult decision to resign amid recent developments. Quote, my complete focus has always been on the NYPD, the department, and people I love and have dedicated over 30 years of service to. However, the news around recent developments has created a distraction for our department, and I'm unwilling to let my attention be on anything other than our important work or the safety of the men and women of the NYPD, he said in an email. I hold immense respect and gratitude for the brave officers who serve this department, and the NYPD deserves someone who can solely focus on protecting and serving New York City, which is why, for the good of this city and this department, I made the difficult decision to resign as police commissioner. So federal agents last week also searched the homes of Deputy Mayor Phil Banks, Deputy Mayor Sheena Wright, and Schools Chancellor David Banks. That's according to sources. The FBI seized evidence, including electronics, as part of the searches, according to sources. No charges have been filed yet. Federal prosecutors in Manhattan have declined to disclose details about what they are investigating, but sources said one focus involves city contracts, and a second involves the enforcement of regulations governing bars and clubs. Now, typically, we're talking about shakedowns, all right? We're talking about shakedowns. When asked by a reporter during an unrelated press conference on Monday on whether the commissioner would resign, due to the investigation, the mayor, we'll put him up full mass, the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, said, quote, rumors are always out there. I don't think anything in life is guaranteed. I would say this. When I chose Eddie, I chose him for his experience and what he brought after 30-something years of service. The mayor's chief counsel said last week that investigators had not indicated to them that the mayor or his staff are targets of any investigation. Adams also insisted last week that he was aware of no misdoings by anyone in his administration and pledged cooperation with the ongoing investigation. Quote, I say over and over again, as a former member of law enforcement, I'm very clear. We follow the rules. We make sure we cooperate and turn over any information that is needed. And it just really would be inappropriate to get in the way of the review while it's taking place. Adams said in an interview with CBS New York, that was September 5th. Quote, I am not aware of any misdoings, and I'm going to, again, follow the rules, and I will continue to tell the team to do that. And that's what they have been doing, to my knowledge. Several high-ranking NYPD officials, including the commissioner, received subpoenas for their cell phones on September 5th. That's according to sources. The following day, investigators sought the phones for additional police officials, including precinct commanders in Manhattan, and interviewed police officials at a building next to police headquarters, sources said. The department is aware of an investigation by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York involving members of service. The department is fully cooperating in the investigation. An NYPD spokesman said on September 5th, referring additional questions to the U.S. Attorney's Office, who declined to comment. Now, I'm going to say this about the typical investigation prowess involved in something like this. Usually you get a target, okay? And you start investigating. Now, in this case, you have the commissioner himself receiving a subpoena for his electronic device or devices, which means it's not a net here. You can't just throw out a net and say, let's hope to get something back. Somebody has said something, and that person is credible enough to where you get a subpoena. You basically have a warrant to review. That has to go through a chain of command. That includes a judge, a federal judge. So there's some level of evidence, even if that evidence is word of mouth, some level of evidence that has indicated that this commissioner either is involved or has information on his electronic device that would, in fact, help remedy the accusation in this case, thus the investigation. The commissioner's family has connections to nightlife, okay? So Richard, the brother of the commissioner and a former NYPD lieutenant, owned a now shuttered Bronx restaurant, Con Sofrito. Edward's twin brother, James, a former NYPD sergeant, owned a Bronx apartment building that once had a bar on the first floor named Twins. Following news of the subpoena, City Councilman Robert Holden called upon the commissioner to step down. Quote, I don't think he has to do something because it does cast bad, deep shadow over the police department, Holden said on CBS. The point with Marsha Kramer on Sunday. We have to have confidence that he's staying within the law. He sets an example for the whole department, Holden said. Now, obviously, at this point, it's just speculation. But based on the circumstances and circumstantial information that we currently have, this has something to do with his family and possibly illegal steering of contracting and perhaps even shakedowns happening in the nightlife of New York by way of, well, the boys in blue. All right, Francesca, hell of a thing. The mayor's under investigation for something totally different.
Which is wild, right? Because to me, there's no way these things are not connected. But I think, Eric Adams is under investigation, 4 different federal probes, part of which is receiving campaign financing from the countries of Turkey and China. And then there's an additional kickbacks, corruption, and his inner circle, which got a lot of no-bid contracts, a lot of favors. And so he's under investigation. But the real thing is Eric Adams himself, where he constantly, lifts up law enforcement as just the most morally righteous entity ever, and the NYPD has never done anything wrong. Don't talk about Eric Garner. Like, don't talk about so many people who are consistently brutalized by the NYPD or the corruption or the long-standing racism, right? No, Eric Adams is the mayor who says we need more cops every which way, every single moment to get all the people who are violently jumping turnstiles and
Right.
non-violently. That's what's good. That's what's good for New Yorkers, and this is what we're going to do. And so he gins up the fear over crime, even though crime is down, and he uses that to then put more cops on the streets. Now, who do you think benefits from that? Obviously, the police officers, the police officers' unions. This guy is corrupt from the top to the bottom, and he probably thinks that that's what part of being a cop is just being above the law. So he's trash. I'm sorry, Eric Adams is trash. It doesn't surprise me that the police commissioners that he hired are also trash, and we will see just how far this goes because there is so much more. I don't think he gets reelected.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. And obviously, some of this is going to depend on how much information comes out prior to, to that final day of his reelection bid.